Hello, everyone. This is Whitney Will from StarHearthAstrology. And I'm here today to do a little astrology check-in as we come to the rounded edge of summer, the heat of August. People have been talking about how summer is almost over, which seems like a kind of fever dream. How did it happen this fast? And do I really agree? Not really. July was monsoon season of astrology, as well as the rain, thunderclouds of happening sun collapse of Mars and Uranus, lightning bolt assassination attempts, shifts of power. And we lean into August with that kind of hot and bothered thing that happens to our minds when it's too hot and humid to be able to have thoughts and actions that move in a linear motion without letting be. We are in August after a Leo new moon that began the same day as a Mercury retrograde. This month is about shifting. And I think that all of us will experience shifts this month in surprising ways and surprising areas. I don't really think that there's anybody who's spared, though the level of magnitude obviously will vary. The following week, the week we are approaching the week of August 12th through the 18th, gets us into some pretty complicated astrology, right? Really building up to the Aquarius full moon on Monday, the 19th. We get in a tangle of Mars and Venus with Saturn and Jupiter. And the Saturn-Jupiter dance is one of the headlines of the whole year, this square, in which the planet of expansion and the planet of contraction come to the table to have a negotiation. And now this is one of the first times that they have spoken since their conjunction that happened in December of 2020 at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And here we are with them again having this discussion, and really the first of the first of 3 squares, 2 of which will happen in Gemini and Pisces. The final one will happen after Saturn has moved into Aries and Jupiter has moved into Cancer. And what that means, with 2 of them happening in these mutable signs and the final one happening in the cardinal signs, is that we're very much in flux. And there will be a resolution, and it is not going to look like the challenges that they are currently putting in flux. And so we have this kind of expansion of Jupiter in Gemini, in the mind space, falling in this air space, still in the air element, and Saturn saying, hey, wait a second, we don't know what's real. And that is one of the potent questions of the next couple years. What is real? That is one of the questions that we have had to answer since Neptune began moving through Pisces many years ago, and since Saturn has entered to put pressure on this idea of what is real. We have AI forcing questions about what is really art, what is really information, what is writing, what is voice. where are the ethics in this thing? How can we tell what's real or not now that we can mimic anyone's voices and create AI generated videos? Right? We're in this space of limitless creativity, and yet discernment becomes a problem. And so these Saturn and Jupiter squares are asking for discernment. And it's not lost on us that this is happening, that this will be happening during the Democratic National Convention, bringing its own kind of spice and flavor to that space, as we saw with the intense astrology that happened during the Republican National Convention. And we're building up towards this election season that very much asks the question between Saturn and Jupiter. What is the future? What is the past? What is possible in the world moving forward? Because nobody is under the impression that this is low stakes. Okay, so this is going on up here. Saturn and Jupiter, social planets, big guys, they're dealing with big stuff that we all will kind of experience as our content. But we also have Mars and Venus in the mix right now. So we have Venus in Virgo and we have Mars in Gemini, these two mutable signs. So they are coming into aspect with Jupiter and Saturn. And they're making it personal and they're making it heated and they're bringing the passion and the oomph to it. Mars is going to conjoin Jupiter and then square Saturn, right? It's going to get really inflated and really enthusiastic and really frenetic and haywire because Mars in Gemini wants to choose everything. Venus in Virgo is very picky, wants to sort through everything, needs to look at every single option before she's going to choose, right? She's going to come into an opposition with Saturn. She's going to have to make a commitment. And all of these tangled up together are a big deal because when we're talking about Saturn, we're talking about things that last a long time. So the pressure around the decision making is increasing this sense of duty to make the right decision. And there is a level of panic that can happen when we feel like we need to make a decision quickly, when we feel like the stakes are really high, when we feel like we have to choose the best option and that we have to get behind it really enthusiastically. All of that is happening. And Mercury is retrograde. And the biggest mistake that you can make during Mercury retrograde is believing that things are urgent, that things have to happen right now and right this second. And that is when we rush our decisions. And that is when we put our feet in our mouths or make silly mistakes that we have to go back and reflect and fix. That's where we are. We're riding this wave from the Leo new moon to the Aquarius full moon that takes place on the 19th that is pushing us with all of this pressure, both personal and social. And what we will see play out over the next several weeks going to set the stage for the fall to come. Now, I think that mutable signs, so Virgo, Sag, Pisces, and Gemini are going to have an easier time with this because even though there's all this pressure inside of mutability and these squares are happening within the mutable signs, mutable heavy people and mutable heavy signs are more comfortable in the flux than they might be in the homeostasis of fixed signs or the commitment that is demanded by the cardinal signs at the outset, because what we are looking at is stuff that we don't have complete information, stuff that the questions are flying thick and fast. And if we can sit in that, marinate in that, move towards the center, and really come into the space of not identifying with our thoughts or our feelings, but watching them move around us, then we can bear witness and increase our ability to experience what is happening without needing to control it or try and hold on to it. Because when holding on to things that are so intensely in flux stops us, right? When you are part of something that is in motion, moving and breathing and observing is the work, not trying to, right? When we are driving on ice, steering rather than the brakes are our friends, right? Moving in such a way that we are not fighting against the forces of change, which would just steamroll us, but nor are we dissociating into a space of non-reality. We are watching, we are present in our bodies, in our hearts, being carried by the flow into the future and taking notes about our observations and about what is stimulating outside of us and inside of us, and trying to stay within that window of tolerance where we can respond to what we see while holding the fact that our vision is not complete. And really part of this virtue as we move into Virgo season is humility. And Virgo gets associated with humility without thought. And it's not that Virgos are more humble than other signs, right? Their penchant for self-sacrifice can actually be the opposite of humility, but that Virgos need the sense of humility more than anything else, because otherwise they will be absolutely tortured by their inability to reach perfection. And they will torture other people to reach the perfection that their insecurities say that they will never have. When we are humble, we offer what we can, we pay attention to what is needed, we are looking for ways that we can be helpful rather than for all the things that are wrong. And we show up again tomorrow and do it. And that's where we are and where we're meeting. I am back from vacation, so I will be here more consistently. And to anyone feeling called to enter the fall in this new season, working with me and getting some perspective on your charts, feel free to book through my website. I also am going to start seeing astrology clients live in person in Washington. So if you are in Skagit County in Washington and want to meet in person for a reading, I I'm opening up availability for that. So feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.